Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. I am Calypso, and it's been another long while, but we are back at it again with another episode of Deadhaus Whispers. As always, I am joined by my other host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome. What have we got today?
We have Goth girlfriends today. we have another banger of an episode, and this kind of pisses me off because these episodes are like half an hour long now, which is fine, but I want them to be 12 hours long. So I'm short. But we do get a lot of great. This episode is another good one. I personally think all the radio dramas have been pretty good. There's been some really good bangers, and then some ones that are just good, But this one is great. And like always, we get massive lore dumps. With all of these, you could basically think of these radio dramas as lore dump the episode, but with lots and lots
little bit. It's there's a lot of lore dumping in this one, but not as much as the others, and not half as much as what will be coming down the line. Yes,
agreed. I think the biggest lore dumpy episode so far has been the Lucid Templars and that whole thing with the fetid prince and the vampire. That whole when Alaric was having a flashback.
I honestly thought we would have went more with the whole the one with Amarax and the nonary conflict.
That's right. Yes, we're talking about all the worlds. That's okay, you beat me with that one, yeah.
And then technically is what he was reciting or got Alaric to recite was like a percentage of the Pale Doctrine.
Yes, which shows up a little bit in this episode, but to quote Alaric, I will talk about that in another journal entry. So here we go with this episode called we just had it, didn't we? What's this episode actually called officially without me looking it up right now? I forgot to write it down.
The
Realm of the Dead? Yeah. Realm of the Dead, yeah. Thanks. Jeez. The one thing I forget is the titles.
Wait, while we're on that, we can share it.
Yes, we can. Oh, look at that. The Realm of the Dead.
Ooh, look at that.
Our cast is Joey Sourless. George Ledoux, the impeccable George Ledoux, and then we also have
Eileen Anglin.
Eileen Anglin, thank you. Yes, who I fell in love with her voice like immediately upon hearing it. I like to think you're easy though. I am very easy. I am very easy. But yeah, like she could, like George or Joey, she could also read me a phone book and I'd be perfectly fine. So this episode starts out with Oct. We are still in Oct and we are in the land of the dead, the realm of the dead.
In Oct again I write, 221 AD. The stone-wrought deck of the Atonite stood threaded with thousands of luminous symbols.
And previously, Alaric is losing blood and sort of tweaking out, and he is still losing blood, hungry and tweaking out. And Amarax tells Alaric to hunt the grave of Gwyneth Armin. So I wonder what that is. What could the clue of Armin as a last name be for those lore experts of Deadhaus who possibly have read the Bible, the Necro Liberitas?
I'm not going to lie, right? So I thought this was very blunt and very obvious, but I've been sitting in the Discord and I've been reading everyone's theories, and dang, it's impressive because these guys, if you haven't checked out the Deadhaus Sonata Discord, go join the Discord. The discussion is amazing. They have done so much crazy background theories. I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't obvious. There's some crazy ideas here. It's like, that's really cool.
I mean, I had to ask you guys.
I hope you keep these ideas, guys, for whenever we're starting to do our own stories, because holy crap, you got some really good, miles off, by the way, all miles off, but really good ideas, grounded, which do make logical sense and points. So that's fascinating. I love that. I love that concept. I love the fact that they can like take something and run with it and it makes complete sense. It's not like just some random like crap they pulled out of thin air. Like there's actually cause and effect to it, which I thought was fascinating. I was like, keep talking about the lore, guys. This is great. It's been a while since we've had some good lore discussion.
I'll be the one to pull stuff out of thin air, just to keep it consistent with my crazy ass theories. Alaric has to take the maw with him, and we get a little more insight into just like the strength of
Hold on.
vampires?
I'll mute this and I'll let this play, and it'll go
Yeah,
through
sure, go
a
ahead.
lot of. You keep talking.
Oh, okay. So yes, that's where we oct 2221 AD after Deadhaus. I mean the land of the dead. Yada 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 yada. So we learn that Alaric has to take the maw with him, and we get some really nice background stuff with vampire strength, I think, where he thinks he can't take the maw with him because he's too weak, but then Amarax promptly says something along the lines of, you already did when you brought it onto the ship because you could before. Like, underestimating your own strength with what you can or can't do, even when you're blood hungry. And we also learned that the snake demon, which was a demon confirmed to be a demon from Amarax last episode,
literal demon,
literal demon, is from serves or is from Sasana Raj.
Choice to ignore. For them, we have the hollow maws.
Like that shadow, the one with 6 eyes.
A servant of Sasana Raj, a demon.
Is Deadhaus at war with them too?
We've managed to avoid that thus far. The demons are loath to leave the abyss. They withhold their presence from Valorum, though occasionally they seep through the shadows of Anumat. Better to trap them there than allow their return to the Sun Eater.
What do they want?
They want what their ancient wants, as do all great houses. But we need not concern ourselves with them yet.
The Sun Eater, I think, is what it was the name of it, right?
Yep.
That's so cool. So Alaric needs a guide to get to the grave because he has to hunt the grave of Gwyneth Armin.
There
And
we go.
Alaric
Yep.
needs a guide, so Amarax summons our little shade friend back, and it's so ugly, and I hate it. I hate that it's
Really?
ugly, not a
I
cute
thought I
little
love
ball
it.
of
I
light.
love it. I love it. It's creepy.
Oh, it's cute.
I would say it's
cute
got-
creepy. It's a good creepy. It's a good
I
creepy.
would
but
say
I
that's
prefer it was a cute
you know.
little
I
ball of
would
light.
say it's got dead eyes, but that's a bit redundant.
Yes.
Is the Snek demon the first demon we have encountered in a radio play? Temujin, I believe it might have been.
I think so too.
It might
Unless,
have been.
well, so do because everything else up so far has just been classes of the undead, like the banshees and revenants and stuff like that.
Mhm.
My wish real quickly is barring copyright infringement, I would love
There we
a
go.
little ball of light skin for our pet shades, and they annoy us constantly by saying, "Hey, listen."
It's like there. He said the purpose of the maws, they were forgotten
Yes,
so long ago.
hollowed.
Their
maw.
original purpose was forgotten, but they use them. There we go. There's Snek.
There's a snake demon. Yes.
There is
Who's
Snek
that
demon.
Pokemon?
Who's that Pokemon? It's the end of all light and the beginning of eternal darkness.
Alaric jumps off the ship, lands onto a really cool big old statue, and then jumps down. Superhero landing, or does he float down? Either way, he gets down.
He hits the ground, but he goes to the bats first to go fly down really fast, and then he goes onto the statue, and then he jumps down onto the ground. And for the first time, he says since he died, he actually felt the impact on the ground.
Oh yeah, because he's in like a state or an area that's more attuned to the dead, rather than Earth. They're like, well, not Earth.
He doesn't get to bend the rules of reality here.
Yeah. And then he enters like literally a massive, almost never-ending grave site. It just stretches as far as the eye can see. Just
It's
graves
the
upon graves upon
never-ending
graves.
graveside. La la la. I need to stop before we get done for copyright.
Yeah. There's our little shade buddy. But
he looks awesome. He's not even a person. It wasn't even ever a person. It was always just a thing. It's a very elemental form of essence, a very basic form, I think.
Hush puppies. Sorry, guys, if you hear dogs or anything in the background, that's me.
There we go. Here we go. Like a sniffer dog as well. There you go. Here, look, that's Gwyneth Armond. You go find that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. Speaking of dogs, yeah. Here, look for this, please. I do think that's cool that you can use shades as kind of trackers. Game mechanic, perhaps.
And held it before the shade.
You will find the soul to whom this belongs. You will guide the fledgling.
The shade trembled as the lich spoke.
For an item, and let's say you have sidebar. Let's say you are playing Deadhaus and you have to, look for a certain area, and you pop on your little shade locator friend, and it's partially puzzle. So if you manage to pick up a sword or something, you could maybe toss that over to the shade like an inventory management kind of way, and then bang, it tracks it for you, and that's kind of like your waypoint system maybe. But would that also be too complicated? I don't know.
Do you know what would be really cool though?
What?
Okay, so we know of the types of enemies there are. So let's say you fight, remember they mentioned an ashen, what was it called again?
An ashen-haired girl with green eyes?
No, that's a different franchise. Different franchise. Stay out of that one. That's already its own debate.
Yep, well,
Right.
that's already its own
Now,
debate. We'll get to that another time.
If like the Ashen Templars and stuff,
Yes.
remember those guys, right? So if we get an Ashen Templar, because I remember there was one, the Revenant, remember of Revenants?
Yes.
And you got one of those, and you killed the person, like the actual Templar itself, and you took one of their insignia and gave it to a shade. Would the shade be able then to track down the head of the Ashen Temple, because they all have to be blessed? So you could use it like a
Oh, that's a
sniffer
good
dog
idea.
to find those in hiding and stuff.
Is it so? Here's another question.
That'd be
Is it
really
so
cool,
much-
wouldn't it?
That would be cool. Is it so much the scent? Because I don't think it's smell.
No,
has
it's the
anything to do with
essence.
it. It's the essence,
the
right? I
essence,
was going to get to the essence.
Let's
Yeah.
call it the life force, the life energy,
Yes.
or whatever.
Here, track this person's soul.
That's what you said. Like flows to like, and they
Yeah.
they are essence beings. They are beings of essence, so it can find other essence.
So cool.
Only living
That's so cool.
things, though, or as the dead, the ghosts. There we go. Covered in dead, pale
oh, yeah.
grasses. It is just eternal crypts.
Yes. So souls. So I love this also. That
Mm.
sort of this entire episode debunks the religion or the religions of Deadhaus.
Well, they're all the
Sonata.
same. You
It's
know,
all it is all the same, because it's like souls enter the realms of the dead through dirt, water, or flame, and if you don't get your funeral rites, you are doomed to walk the earth as like in limbo, or
yeah, it doesn't matter which
whatever.
rites, as long as
doesn't
you
matter
get-
which rites, as long as its
Think-
rites are done.
Think
So it's
like
like
in ancient
there's no
Greece.
heaven. Maybe it's like
No, you
Hades.
think like in ancient Greece, you went to Hades. Now it could be Tartarus, it could be the Elysian Fields, it could be any of those, but it's still Hades. And it doesn't matter which god, whether you worshipped Athena or Zeus and all like that, you still went to the same place.
Yeah.
This is that place.
That's so crazy. We also Alaric starts walking towards. Oh yes, doomed to walk the earth. A great bell rings, and all the dead start to rise and head towards the ringing. They're all translucent and green because there's essence at this point. Alaric walks towards the bell and follows the shade, his body hurting from lack of blood. So our bell tolls for all, quite literally in this episode, as they head towards something called a pale church. But
The
we'll
Pale
get to that.
Temple.
Pale Temple. We'll get to that in a minute. So his body's still hurting, and he's following the shade, and he's hurting from lack of blood. He finds that the ringing is coming from a massive church made of bones next to a black river, and green is everywhere in this world because you're essentially in just the
It's essence. It's
essential
the essential.
form.
Essentially,
The
it's the
essential realm.
essential realm.
Yes, gosh, that's a fucking tongue twister. There's a massive window above the entrance with a sign, the sign of Alalmat, so like the dead house.
Wait till we
symbol.
get there. Wait till we get there. That's coming up here.
More
Where
graves
is
are
that?
appearing as Alaric walks, as people
is-
get buried
You're way
in
ahead.
real time.
You're way ahead of the video. So like
Sorry,
there is
sorry.
no, you're good. Alaric on his statue. Alaric wandering down the road, because we can skim through this, because we can go back through and forth. So here it is, when he comes through across the Pale Temple, which looks really awesome. And then as
It looks
it said
a lot
there,
like
if you notice
there's a
here,
Russian.
I don't
Mhm.
know how well this will show up on YouTube and all like that, but if you look, there is the
the
Deadhaus symbol.
That's cool.
That's that right there. So
That might be the
continue.
thumbnail. I don't know. I mean, maybe, probably, because it's
Isn't that
Dennis and
as
stuff.
goth
Oh,
grimdark
it's
is
as
all
goth
heck.
as Grimdark as
That's
there's a Russian artist who died. He's like the Russian dark fantasy artist. Zadislav Baginsky, I think is his name. I'll put the correction obviously in post,
Mhm.
but a lot of his artwork looks exactly like this. And I want to say he grew up around the time during like Civil War stuff was going on in Czechoslovakia or Russia or something like that. So all of his art is like post-trauma war stuff. But the game Scorn, so I quit rambling so much. The game Scorn is heavily inspired by his artwork as well as Geiger
Tiger.
and Lovecraft and stuff like that.
Makes
But
sense. Makes sense. though.
Zadislav Baginsky, I think is his
I'm
name.
not
But,
even going to try it.
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
really
I'm not
good
even
with
going to
any of
try
those
really.
things.
But his artwork looks a lot like this. So if you guys like this style of artwork, look up Baginsky, and you're welcome in advance for dark, cool art.
I love the
Like,
way we
yeah,
have all the dead having to like funnel in because there's
I
a
love that
purpose to
too. I think that's cool. Massive window by the entrance. Valmont. Oh yeah, I like that when later on Alaric passes the temple and he keeps on walking. But as he's walking, graves are appearing before him in real time, and
Mhm.
bodies are just immediately spawning up and going to the ringing because like the ringing never really stops, I guess.
Yep. And yes, you
Um,
are, Varric. Am I fashionably late? Yes.
Yes. Hello, Eric. So yes, I think that's a really cool little detail. Like just bing, 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 just graves popping up constantly. And then we get to the fire fields, which is so cool.
The pirate
Oh
fields.
man, the pirate field, the
Pyric.
field, the
Pirate. Yeah.
pirate fields is so cool. Bodies, I have it wrote here. I could be wrong because I was kind of stoned when I was listening to this. Bodies spawn in from the fires and they begin moving towards the ringing as well, but they're also on fire, I think.
No, they just appeared as flame.
Oh, they just appeared as
Literally the flame spurts out of the ground and
that would be
there.
cool
So it's
though.
like
You're set on
incinerated.
fire and you're burning, and then you burn and you walk toward
Only
that.
those that got their rights, though.
Oh yeah, because if you don't, then you're just trapped forever,
Mhm.
I guess. Which sucks. Is there a way? That's another question. Is there a way to obtain your rights once you've not been, sent to the afterlife post death?
There we got our
Can
little
you rectify?
evil soul Silent Hill going on. So the way that goes is we'll mention that later. There is a way for that, but we'll get to that later when we
Okay.
get to that. But yes, you can. So they're the wayward or the lost souls that need to be brought. As Alaric is told, we could use your help. He's like, kind of busy. Got things to do.
Yeah. Alaric walks into the jade embers with no heat and ash everywhere around him, like snow almost. The Pyric fields. Bodies spawn in from the fires and begin moving towards the ring, is what I wrote here. And then we get to the Veil of Vestiges. And Alaric is still, blood starving and just freaking out. And then we get a really great conversation and a bit of more expansion on vampire lore by Amarax about bloodstones. And being a bloodstone as a vampire is probably the most nightmarish thing that I would wish was just pure oblivion, but it doesn't work that way. So according to Amarax, and correct me if I'm wrong from these notes here, is if Alaric can't drink blood, his body will eat itself, or his blood will eat itself, and his body dissolves, becoming crystallized into a bloodstone.
Yep.
When you are a bloodstone, you aren't really conscious of what's around you, but you are conscious of your hunger, and it's the worst thing ever. Like, imagine when you're really hungry, imagine that feeling all the time, and
forever,
that's
and you
all
can't
you think about forever.
Yep,
And you can't do anything about it.
Yep, literally paralyzed in place. So yeah, their blood, as is seen in the other radio plays, the blood dwindles down because it consumes itself. It is part of the curse, as the
almost like
and Amarax mentions
meter.
it. Yeah, it keeps going down until it concentrates into one small piece, into a diamond, into a blood gem, right? And then they're trapped in that, aware the entire time, and then Amarax gives one of the most beautiful emotional statements of that, going,
I suppose that's why vampires come back mad sometimes.
He says, and it wasn't done in malice or in jest or jibing or in even enjoying the suffering of others. It was just kind of a, I may have stumbled onto something. It's kind of like, I wonder, is that why some vampires come back mad sometimes?
That's another question I have.
And the way for them to come back, by the way, just for anyone.
Oh, yes. To finish this off,
they need to be soaked in an adequate amount of blood to be able
almost
to
like
regenerate.
a tub or a vat of blood. So if Alaric was a bloodstone and someone decided to drop him in that giant barrel of blood from the earlier episodes, would he come back as a vampire? Jade continues on, and Alaric ends up in an abandoned church. Are we there yet? No.
No, it's coming to that. But this is the whole in the Veil of Vestiges. These are the people that can't accept they've died.
Yes, it's like they're dead, but they don't, obviously want to believe it. So you get echoes, like it's an echo chamber essentially of all the living. Which is why it's interesting that Alaric ends up at an abandoned church. It fills him with dread, which is funny. And he hears echoes of hooves, and he sees the blur of a figure that heads into the church. And spoilers, if you haven't seen any of these yet, and yes, this is the church from the very first episode of Vampires, and he is witnessing an echo of everything that has happened.
Poured out and stood my hair on end.
I invite you in.
A voice said from the church.
I invite you in. He hears Alaric heads into the damn you, vampire. I am already damned, says the vampire.
And then the
Alaric
fun
gets kind of guilty. I think Alaric feels guilty that he killed them all, but he denies it or something. I don't know.
That's what it is, because he looked on the face of the vampire and it was a face familiar to him. It was the face he's seen in the eyes of Amarax, and he was looking back at himself. He said it was a monster. And people are like, oh, was that Alaric in the first episode then? No, it wasn't. It's just Alaric sees that it was himself. He killed the soldiers.
And then Alaric passes out from that traumatic experience.
Was it the trauma or was it the dramatic lack of blood? As in food, not injury.
Maybe both.
Oh, wait, here's one. Being an immortal vampire, then becoming mad forever. I say, Kavaric, here's a primer for a story. A stranger approaches a demon and hand over a bag. The demon opens the bag and starts counting. The bag is full of bloodstones. You need to get working on that one, Varic.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That sounds like a world anvil entry right there.
What if there was a bloodstone that someone took and fashioned into a necklace and then gave to a noble being? And then he started a ritual to become some sort of demon and use the bloodstone as an anchor point.
How many kings or queens or emperors or empresses, nobility are wearing vampires around their neck?
Yeah,
I'm not aware of. You'll look at that ruby 2 or 3 times now before you do it. Wait, hang on.
Do bloodstones? That's the other thing. That's another question or expansion on this lore is: do bloodstones pulse? Like, can you feel that there's something different about them, or are they just rubies? Is that a ruby, or is that the freaking egg of the king? Is that the egg of the king?
No, that's over the other side. But I just happen to have a bloodstone right here. I wonder who's in there.
Nice.
Who's in that one?
What if the egg of the king was a bloodstone, and that's how Griffith was able to?
You're laughing.
I know I'm laughing, but that's a really cool bit of lore that I would totally accept.
Did anyone try soak it in blood yet? This is the test. How do we know if it's a real diamond or a vampire? Have you tried soaking it in blood?
What if do they?
Didn't
that's
Alaric?
Another thing that I want to know.
Didn't Alaric go in to overdrive after he feasted on the blood of the awakened before he tasted human blood? He seems to do fine. I don't think he got to feast on the blood of the actual awakened. He feasted on humans.
Not the awakened. When he was in the temple, it was a bunch of just thralls.
Yeah, he didn't. They were people that had got into the temple that should not have. He feasted on animal blood, yeah.
Yeah, on animal blood. The awakened, no, I don't. See, that's the thing. Can you... Well, never mind. I can't ask that question anyway. Thanks, NDAs. No, do bloodstones pulse? Like, do they have like a pulsing? Like, is there something that gives it away that it could be a supernatural vampire? Or is it just a ruby?
Maybe to other vampires. And I would assume probably liches, because if there's some way to tell, liches have figured out the way to tell the difference. There might
See, I
be,
was
but to the
thinking-
average mortal, probably not.
I was thinking to take from Lord of the Rings a little bit is what if a human was wearing a bloodstone, and while they're wearing it around their neck, they kind of feel weight to it, like the ring. They maybe feel like there's a sort of connection, and maybe the bloodstone calls to them like,
You
"Feed me,
see,
give me
now,
blood," stuff like
now,
that. Like obviously that's not
now
the case, but
you're
I don't know.
Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say that everyone needs to jump into the Discord, because this is the kind of lore and debate I've been missing. It's been a while since we've had it. Yeah, does it? Like, if you wear the ruby necklace, do you just constantly hear this whisper in your minds of "feed me"?
Yeah.
This is a vampire literally losing their mind to do anything to get out of that dang crystal.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, even though I'd like to think that even though, as a vampire in a bloodstone, you're not really conscious of the outside world, it's your subconscious or
Yeah.
just the pure nature of the blood of being a vampire that influences the outside if you are a bloodstone.
Oh no, they weren't Tem. Tem says, I thought the humans in the temple were awakened. No, they were not. They were unfortunate trespassers who got caught and dealt with. Okay, we'll keep this going.
Yes, keep this going.
We have to
So he
get to the
passes out.
title.
Yes, we have to get to the title.
Just so
He
that you
passes
don't
out,
get accused of clickbaiting again.
and he hears, yeah, exactly, and he hears a woman's voice, and then we get, the classic line.
I heard a woman's voice call to me.
The blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from us.
The blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from us.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Absolutely love that.
I hope people
Isn't
can
that
hear that.
the
Put it
best
anyway.
little Easter egg, hint, drawback, nod, reflective, everything? Yeah, Varric says we can hear it, but Calypso, you're going to throw it in post anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the full clip of that bit. But that was the best. But I've been waiting so long for it, and there she is.
Yep, that'll be the thumbnail I think I use.
There she is, and who is it, Calypso?
It's Kiva. We learned that is Kiva. For those who read the Bible, that is a Kiva. It's so cool, man. I do love that look right there. I think that's great.
Oh, well, of course not, Varric. It's been quite a long time.
A great time. Oh yeah, no, how it would be very cool if they.
It's like 30 years ago.
Exactly. If the team managed to grab the same voice actors who recorded those lines, but I think it was Anna Gunn who voiced Ariel as well. Specifically because I know there was like 6 voice actors in Blood Omen and they all did multiple roles. I mean, obviously I have no confirmation, but yes, I think that's so cool. I think Kiva looks great. Banshees are awesome. He starts to drink the blood from this woman who beckoned him. The blood of ages flows so sweet. Beautiful and terrible. Pale.
Her hair flowed around. Her hair
like
flowed around her
water.
as if underwater.
Her throat cut open, dead pale eyes, long black hair, Banshee, and her name is Kiva.
Oh, that's actually impressive. There we go. Varric says it was close. I actually had to go check.
Oh, nice.
It was done with great importance that this was a reverent homage, because as Dennis always loved to say before, if he got the opportunity, this is where he would have liked to have gone with the story.
Yeah.
And that is just that's a lot of people are going to die when they see her. Like, straight up, literally. I don't mean figuratively. You see Kiva, that's the end of you. Unless you already belong to Deadhaus, you're going to.
Yeah. Banshees traditionally are symbols of death, right? In Irish
They're
folklore.
literally a death
video. I think I did a video on Banshees.
I need to pause it here. This is one of the better bits.
Oh, yes, that's one of the better bits.
This is the bit where he's still really thirsty, and he leans before the statue of the Weaver, the icon of the Weaver, right? And she's like, you can't touch that. Only certain ones, particularly Banshees, can even touch the Weaver and all like that. And she has him stop there, and she's like, don't move. And he's like, really want the blood, but if I move, I'm literally dead. Like, literally, because that is the needle of a Banshee. That is one of those things that will give true death. And she tells him, wait, and holds it up to him. And what she's testing here, and this is my theory, is that she wants to see how sentient he is. Because if he's not sentient, as in he does not have control over himself, he's not one of the dead, like Amarax talks about the different classes of dead. If he is not able to control himself, she would just end him right there because he would not be able to fulfill the quest.
Yes, this is very much a Dune thing. I wholly believe it. This is absolutely a nod to Dune. In the beginning of Dune, the Bene Gesserit, which are space witches essentially of that universe, do a test. This test, the fucking box test or whatever it's called officially. But she has a needle.
Oh, is that the thing to put the hand in the box?
Yeah, hand in the box. Exactly. That's exactly what this is. So Gum Jabbar, it's a needle full of poison that kills you because in the Dune universe, humans can control their emotions and their instincts and resist, pain. They're able to push and resist pain. And when you put your hand in the box for the Bene Gesserit test, if you don't resist and you remove your hand from the box, you die because animals can't control their emotions or their feelings, but humans can. So it's just a test to see if you're human. This is a test to see if you are a true sentient vampire or are you just a mindless thrall. And it's almost the same thing. Don't resist the blood. If you go towards the blood or remove your hand from the box, essentially, then we'll kill you with this needle. But if you resist for a long time, then
mindless, sentient, sovereign.
Yeah,
is very close
then
to it there.
Kiva goes to the statue after he passes the test, resisting of the thirst, and feeds him personally. Like she scoops it up and feeds him personally. I love that. It's almost another religious symbol of, nuns or churches and like the body of Christ kind of thing. You're literally being fed by a priestess essentially of This realm.
Literally a priestess.
Literally a priestess of this realm.
And she is the high priestess.
Yes, and I think that's great. The Death's Head Coven is the gang she's part of. And around the church, Alaric looks around. This is a little bit later.
There's your thumbnail right there, Calypso.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. A little bit later, he finds out in the church there is a bunch of banshees in this pale church, and they're all similar to Kiva, but I think they all have their hair tied up, and it's all
their hair wrapped in a knot at the base of their neck, held in place with the needle.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And she feeds him, which that's another really. There's so many cool images here to just use, so I will use 3 in total. Any chance there will be a prime? Oh, a prime
for each. Oh, yes, he means like for Warframe.
Oh, the very first.
No, so
like the first vampire.
No, so in Warframe, like you have normal Warframes, and then you have a Prime version, which is like a super version or a souped up version. Tim, you know something? I would like that idea, and I think that's a good thing to throw up on the forums. That'd be really interesting. Explain what a Prime Warframe is, and ask, is it possible to have that for the undead? Because I don't see why not. All you're essentially doing is, I wouldn't call them an ascendant, but definitely a higher. So a vampire and a higher vampire, revenant and a higher revenant, so to speak. I don't see why not. I nodded, but the banshee simply stared. Yeah, you're meant to pray. Thank the Weaver. Thank the Weaver. I'm not joking. Thank the Weaver.
Yeah. We'll get to pause. We'll get to that little pray in a minute. After Kiva feeds him all this blood and he's retained or sustained or rejuvenated his strength, we get the telling of the Kiva tells him of the 9 gods, but that's another episode I have here. So Kiva expands upon the Pale Doctrine that Amarax told Alaric a little bit, but apparently it was a lot, so they literally threw in the next episode, here's what we are going to do, which I love.
It's cool. Not going to be the next episode. We're still finishing the story, but that will be its own episode later on, because it was going to be in this little behind the scenes. It was going to be in this episode, but it's nearly longer than this episode. So yeah, that's going to have to be for a little bit later. But Alaric says like he's going to write it all down and
Yeah.
do it later. That's what we're going to hear, because everything we're hearing from Alaric is essentially a diary kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's got the date and stuff like that. So it's him recanting these tales, you know.
And then after she feeds him, we get some more talk of that, and then she wants him to pray because the Weaver provides all or something. And
you
then
need to thank the Weaver.
we need to thank the Weaver. So I have Alaric starts to pray, and then I have the prayer written down here.
Blessed Weaver, I beseech thee. I thank thee for deliverance from life. I thank thee for deliverance from thirst. And so shall I deliver unto thee unwoven souls for thy tapestry. Amen.
I think Alaric asks, I can always pray to the Weaver or something and ask the Weaver for blood and he will always answer. And then Kiva's answer is so great. It's, yes, the Weaver will always answer, but you must provide him with death or something. So you have to kill people.
Hold on, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Or like
You keep talking when we get to that.
You have to drink to humans. You have to do this stuff for the Weaver. And that's essentially the Weaver answering. And that's such a cool statue. Death is mirthy. Death. Blah, blah, blah. English is hard. Death is mirthy. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to be able to say it.
Look at this black heart. How still it beats.
Or how it still beats would probably be better, wouldn't it?
That would help. And also look at his black heart rather than this. But otherwise, perfect. 10, 11, 3 in a row.
Look at his black heart. How still it beats.
I'm not going to be able to say it. We'll have to change the whole story.
I'm telling you.
Death is mercy. Death is justice. In time, it will answer all, is what I have written here. I think Dennis posted in the Chronicles chat that the story would be towards the end of the season. Oh, possibly. Death is happy and full of mirth. Death is Murphy. Thanks, guys. Jesus. Kiva summons the shade with her needle. I do think that's cool that like because she can call the shade with her needle stuff. I think that's really neat. And then Kiva summons the shade, and they both go to the grave of Gwyneth Armen, but we'll get to that in a second. Kiva helps him basically in his quest and hands him the maw because he passed out, and she knows about Amarax, which is also a really interesting thing. That she knows Amarax has betrayed Deadhaus.
I still love this one.
Alaric has no control, really. Yeah.
That you brought me here, and he's like worried that like she knows who I am. He's like, yeah. He's like, did I not violate the thing? Not as much as the one inside you.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
It's like, oh, he. And he's like, oh, by the way, he's like, I had a companion. I need to look for something. She's like, here.
Ding. It's so
like,
so video gamey. It's so cool, but
little,
it's so video gamey.
Here, little shade. You know, bring Alaric to the grave of Gwyneth Armen. He's like, uh-oh, what? By the way, here's that thing you dropped. You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Here you go. Here. You bought a bow.
She knows who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going.
Is Kiva? Would Kiva be okay? Petition to get Banshees as the merchant dealers for Deadhaus.
No. There's other ones for that. They're way higher up for that. They're oracles.
Oh yeah,
they're literally the oracles of the dead.
Back to the Vale of Edges is Gwyneth. Gwyneth's grave is in the Vale of Vestiges. I just can't speak today. Jesus. What they see, they only see what they see in life. Alaric confirms to see an echo with the church. Talks to Kiva about not killing the people, but then it's like, oh well, haven't you killed them because you ran away, being a little child there?
Mm-hmm.
We hear Amarax again. So during this conversation,
there we go. Oh, there's what you said.
I am called Kiva. The Weaver will always hear your prayers, but there is only one petition it will answer: death. We do not question the Weaver's will. We accept its blessings and give thanks. Those that die and are given their rights may enter this realm. The pale temples call to them with the death knell, and the souls gather here to pray before passing below.
What do they pray then?
Some for mercy, some for justice. We pray with them for as long as they need. When they are ready, they pass below. Death is mercy. Death is justice. In time, it will answer all.
In time, Alaric, next time.
You're saying that the Weaver answers all prayers for death.
Beware the soul of Gwyneth Armin, warns Kiva. Which is a scary thought. When you have an oracle telling you not to do the thing, you probably shouldn't do the thing. So was Amarax aware of this conversation, or was he sort of shut out?
No, he hasn't a clue what's going on. I don't think he gets to step inside the temple. I think Kiva, once Kiva kind of took Alaric, it kind of bubbled him, and like nothing gets in, nothing gets out of the scenario.
Yeah.
You know? I still love that the icon of the Weaver there. It's just a large cloak holding its hands.
Oh, it's so cool, dude. It's like, what's under the Weaver? What does the Weaver look like?
That is going to be one of the great questions.
I want to know the answer, but at the same time, I don't want to know the answer because
what does an elder god look like?
Yeah, exactly. What does an elder god look like?
She didn't say to do the thing. She said, "Be careful doing the thing." Yeah, exactly. Because you got to wonder whenever the Oracle of the Dead that can literally talk to their god turned around and says, "Yo, careful! Your one's a bit of a psycho."
Yeah,
you know, careful.
You might not want to do that. They speed it up. I have to just they speed it up. That's really funny. Because Alaric is now replenished, he can just move faster and just flit.
Yep.
So the shade
recharge and refresh.
Yeah, they kind of just book it. I'm glad. I thought you were a bloodstone already. Alaric, says Amarax. He's like, no, I'm good. I got fed by Kiva and blah blah blah. And,
he says, no. What did he say? He says, I'm surprised you came back with your sentience, or something.
Yes, something I
Oh,
thought you would.
No. Sorry, it was the best way to do it because again, the turn of phrase in this game is amazing because people keep saying, and they'll often use in video games, colloquialisms that are outside the realm or relevant to the lore of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So in real life, if you're still alive, like that. That's not relevant to the dead. They would never say that. So he walks out and Amarax says, Alaric, you persist.
Yes.
As in, you still exist.
You're still alive. You're here. I thought you'd be a bloodstone by now.
The pain persists, but so do I.
So they speed
the hunger
it up.
persists, and so do I.
Yeah. And then they end up, and then we get to the grave of Gwyneth Armin.
There we go.
That's a cool.
Eva called after me, and I stopped. Beware the soul of Gwyneth Armin. And there's a badass shot right there.
And they're all going into the church. That is so cool.
The doors flung open, the bell tolled, everyone's walking in, he's walking out. It's like, yeah.
Action movie moment right there, totally. Here lies, we get to the grave. Here lies Gwyneth Armin, Deceiver. While he's in the Veil of Vestiges, he also sees ghosts of kids who don't know they're dead and stuff, which is just depressing. Like everyone dies. Of course.
Not as depressing as some of the cartoons we watched as children that we never realized were depressing.
Yes,
because I've seen a clip of one on Twitter before where it showed like Tom and Jerry. It was the cartoons, and it had Tom, it had Jerry the mouse, and he's like acting as Saint Peter, letting all the souls in and all like that. And you hear a loud splash, and then like these 3 kittens come out of there playing, and they come running in. And when you realize the imagery behind that. The imagery behind that is some nasty, evil person that basically drowned 3 kittens in a sack. That's what that's hinting at, but you don't see that. That's dark.
No, there's
really dark.
If I remember correctly, the ending of Tom and Jerry, the cartoon, the original cartoon, has them both together as friends, like being homeless because
She
the
kicked Tom
owner
out because she
kicked
couldn't get rid
Tom
of
out.
Jerry and all like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like she kicked them both out, and they're just homeless, and they go. It's really depressing. But then I think the movies later on in like the '90s and stuff, like the revival movies,
Here's what you said.
brought them back as friends.
I saw souls weeping around a gallows. I saw
Yeah,
children.
skipping,
Hey,
humming
hold
to
on.
themselves.
Hold on. I'll go
Yeah.
back a tiny bit there because that's literally what you were saying there. Is it? No, back a tiny bit more. Shapes moving in the fog. Sometimes structures, sometimes people arguing around a gallows, watching a lost soul swing. I saw children skipping through the mists, humming to themselves. Yeah, that's some dark
Dark
imagery right
stuff.
there. There you go.
There we go. Here lies Gwyneth Armand, deceiver. So if Amarax, I think Varric said this. I'm stealing your line, Varric, if you said it. If Amarax is a teller of truth, because he is just a lich, and that's what he's basically meant to do. Is he doesn't lie, he just tells you the truth, or half truths at least. Why would you want the grave of a deceiver?
Exactly. And I love the fact that he can dig with telekinesis.
Yes, I wrote that here. He uses telekinesis to dig stuff up, which is just awesome. Like, make that like there's a game mechanic in Atomic Heart, really great, throwback FPS, Atomic Heart, and the game mechanic to collect things rather than going and opening all the drawers. He uses telekinesis to open just all the collectible stuff, and it just sucks up.
Well, I mean,
everything
if it works,
yeah, it's a cool game mechanic. Might as well use it. Place your hands on the maw, but don't touch the mouth as Amarax opens up the maw. It's a moldering coffin. The maw grows really heavy. Alaric tries to open the coffin and opens it inside using telekinesis.
Touch the mouth of the maw to the remains. He's like, what remains?
What remains?
There's no remains.
Inside is preternaturally dark. Alaric can't see the remains, and then he gets. Oh wait, no, we'll get to that in a second. So it's like Amarax sees something different.
Amarax sees
Alaric
the corpse.
sees the truth. I think
he sees
really
a corpse, so he sees the illusion. At the start, Alaric thinks he's not seeing it, and Amarax can see the corpse. He's like, "It's right there." Then he realized that. Then he realized that it was actually Amarax that was seeing the illusion, and he could see what was there.
Yeah, so nuts.
And it turns out wasn't a grave.
No, it wasn't a grave. It's a doorway. As I knelt down and the maw, I saw touched the mouse, and so as it turns out, this was a doorway. Yes,
seized me by the leg.
Becomes a hentai monster, and we go into the next episode. It's not a coffin.
And I learned then that this was no coffin, but a door.
Dun dun dun.
Alaric the Damned.
Yeah.
There you go. I believe that what it is. Just the imagery on a lot of this.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Fantastic. I love the way a lot of the imagery works because it's incredible. So, what are your thoughts and predictions?
My predictions,
and chat. Tell us what do you think? What's your predictions? So what's yours?
Okay, mine. Well, he went into a doorway, pulled in by a tentacle monster. So we're either gonna get our not Cthulhu because it's public domain, and I know Dennis isn't that lazy thing.
I think
episode,
I think it's an awakened trap. Where is it? I think it's an awakened trap.
Tentacle monsters. That's a good one.
Insert Scooby-Doo chase scene through graveyard doorways. Now that I'd pay to see.
Yeah, I'd pay for that. I'd play that.
Why? Here's the thing, though. I don't think it can be the awakened.
Because it's in the land of the dead and they aren't allowed.
Yep.
I think it's another
Dreams
doorway.
Don't die. He doesn't dream. Get him. Remember?
Yeah. I think it's another doorway to another world. But what world? The Deceiver. What planet? The Unspoken? It's not the Unspoken. Is it the Unspoken? Or is it the Unknown? What's the freaking... God damn it. Varric, quick correct me. What's the Unspoken planet? What's that one? Nameless. Thank you, Nameless. I've been playing Blood.
I think it's what Varek's going to correct you now with the, the
Well,
unspoken
is it
center.
Sasan or Raj also? Because we got a demon from the other one. It was
Yeah,
purple.
but they're
Purple's the
clearly
color
not
of Sasan or
demons.
Raj. The portal door was purple as well. So
I think it was just black. It's just
or
hard
just
to do
black, and just purple is the art style.
Varric, Ebor's tentacles make me think awakened. The black with purple outline and title stating deceiver make me think Sasan Araj.
Yeah, I'm of the
What
thinking
makes
Sasan
Sasan Araj a
too.
deceiver? Like they're demons, but
Oh,
it never
that's
says
true.
anything about that.
Well, but then again, deceiver could simply be from the grave alone. Like Gwyneth Armin, although we know nothing about her.
Something to do with Lucian.
Something to do
Lord
with
Lucian Armin.
Yes. I wonder who Lucian Armin could
How
be.
everyone was speculating on it. I loved reading everyone's lore and hypothesis about who and what Gwyneth Armin was. Because, like, I said at the start of the show, but, like, Mortis and Varric and all weren't there, right? I thought it was very, very obvious who Gwyneth Armin was. And then I read everyone's lore and hypothesizing, and I loved reading it. And it wasn't just people just making stuff up out of thin air, making up crap. Everyone had, like, legitimate theories as to who and why in the Discord. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Keep going, guys. This is fantastic. Demons deceive, do they? In our world, we don't know. In Malorum, I'm not too sure if they do. But by that one, didn't the leper deceive? And also didn't the fetid prince and the burning one?
Yeah.
Like, deception's subjective.
Yes. So, but see, now I wonder, like, oh, man. So, but why would Gwyneth put a trap over her own grave? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Or a portal to her own grave, to another, whatever.
To where?
Yeah, to where?
When you know where, I think the questions will answer themselves. But until that,
well, yeah,
that's a ways off. That's going to be February.
Oh,
we have a while to wait.
Why?
As Dennis said, I'm not too sure the number, but I think Dennis says there's like 8 more episodes or something. Hold on, let me
Holy
check the
moly!
Discord. Dennis specifically talked about this earlier today. He said he was referring to when someone asked a question about Kiva's. Remember, he said he talked to Kiva and she told him all the things. He says, I think you're referring to the prophecies which detail Kiva's tell Alaric in the realm of the dead. This exactly what I was telling you earlier. This section was so large that it had to be broken up into its own episode. And we moved that near the end of season 3. There are 8 more episodes to go in season 3. With one of these, as a shout out for everyone else to get caught up, because you're going to want to hear this when it goes live. There are 8 more episodes in season 3, with one episode having over 15 voice actors in it.
Yeah. Wow.
It says about how we're really excited for the reactions to these. I know what one that is. No one's going to want to miss that. That gets to some Lord of the Rings level craziness that I can't wait for y'all to enjoy. Because everything just get ramping up. I think he said 16. It might have done
50, something like that.
15, 16. I'm not too sure exactly. You'd need to. Our amazing sound engineer would need to be able to tell you that, because he's been the one recording them, and I bet you he knows exactly how many.
Probably.
But there's a lot. There is a lot. When you're considering the average one now has 2 or 3, like. Although we've got some cool characters, so how many characters? If look at all the characters we have.
If we
there's
break
probably
down
some of them coming back
so far. So we have Bo and oh my gosh,
Falk.
Thank you. We have Bo and Falk, Alaric, Amarax, Kiva. That's 5 already.
Mm-hmm.
We have within the lore. We have Nagaz, Tak.
Yep.
Zoran.
Yep.
Victor, or is Victor? Victor's still our playable character, I think, from the Bloodbath demo anyway.
Who's in the Bloodbath one?
Is Victor going to be a main character, though, in Deadhaus? Makes me question.
We'll have to wait and see.
So that's 3 if we're counting that.
That's the only ones that have ever been said publicly.
5, 6, 7, 8. Those are all the 8 characters that we know so far. And of course, we have, the expanded stuff like the Fetid Prince and the Leper and stuff like that.
You forgot that. We had the Fetid Prince too.
Yeah, vetted prince. So like, and then the leper.
Yeah.
So that's 10. That's
And the
10.
burning one. We had the burning
Oh,
one.
and the burning one. That's 11.
Just shy there.
Yeah,
Barrick,
we're
the
shy a couple
15-person episode is the forging of the Fellowship of the
of the
Maw.
Maw. Yeah. I was there, Nagaztak, 5,000 years ago.
Well,
He
you
carved
see,
them out of stone and then made funny little faces on them. I don't.
unlike the Fellowship of the Ring and all like that, because elves are not completely immortal, but they are very long lived and all like that.
Yeah.
Functionally, everyone in Deadhaus can be immortal.
Yes.
Functionally. Hold on, I love that imagery. I love some of the stuff in this, like with him approaching the church and all like that. And that was a very upset Kiva, and there's your thumbnail right there.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That'll be the thumbnail, I think. That's such a great image. That's, you know what this reminds me of? That's a magazine cover image for sure. That's like,
it's just goth Renaissance.
Yeah, goth Renaissance imagery. Yeah, I'm sure there's a painting that's exactly this image somewhere out there.
Probably.
That, if I find, I might do a comparison thing for it. But yeah, so we have all those characters so far. So it just makes me wonder who else they're going to introduce, unless we get to meet more of the clan of the ghouls, or more. Meeting more liches would be awesome.
I want to know more ghouls. I think we need more ghouls, just because of the interactions with the ghouls and them interacting with other races that are non-ghouls.
So far, it's my
that do slow speak.
Yeah,
slow speak and all like that. I love that. That was fantastic, and we need more vampires.
You could bring in the scholar who went with Alaric. I think he died. I think he died, Varric.
Could also go back and say hi to Venduk.
Yes.
Venduk, yes. That scholar, he dead.
Yeah.
He was very much bansheed to death.
Oh, but what if he shows up as one of the undead?
Possibly.
Possibly.
He did die.
Like, how
Wait a minute. If he was killed by a banshee, did he get his rights? Did he go pass on? Is he a ghost? Because those that don't get their rights are doomed to wander Malorum as ghosts, as they say. But he wasn't on Malorum.
But you're killed by like you're killed by one of the oracles. So does that?
He died. We are playing undead. What's preventing that? True.
Oh, very good point. Yes.
But what would he come back as? It's not like she turned him into a banshee.
Well, a ghost. I would imagine a ghost. Or a shade. A sort of not a shade. Oh my God. What if the shade is the freaking, God damn it, what's the scholar? Jesus, I'm having a stroke here. What if the shade is the scholar?
Theoretically, doesn't
theoretically. That would be crazy. I just thought of that. That'd be crazy. Huh.
A random NPC we can talk to.
Yes, a random NPC. What if I would love, well, now that Varric reminded me of that whole thing, I think it would be so cool is if that scholar got killed by banshees and then came back as a white. Just because.
Don't know if that's how that works.
I don't think that's how that works, but like it would be cool. The
shade equals scholar, and then Morta says, I kind of hope we see the awakened Empress at some point in the radio player game. Which awakened Empress? There was an Empress that got possessed by
the vampire one.
No, he said the awakened Empress. I think he means the Emperor's wife. Remember, she was the one that went psycho and killed him.
Oh,
but I don't think the awakened stay as awakened, because they all seem to behave kind of like weird, mindless zombies. Remember the way they run after, like they kept chasing down Alaric, and then they chased Falk into the sewer. So like status, I don't think is the same. They all just kind of behave weirdly.
What if, but they're also a weird hive mind, right? So
kind of
something, definitely something, not a someone, something has to be sort of controlling that hive mind.
Yeah.
You know,
the Crimson Dream, huh?
Yeah, something.
Isn't that what it is? They mentioned that about the Dreamer. They called it the Dreamer or something. Islerith.
Yes. Yeah. So something.
I remember that because it's got a tongue twister of a name. That and Tlaquitlex.
God, I'll
You
never
see?
get that. I'm not even
I've-
gonna bother saying that.
I've learned to be able to say it correctly.
Telaquitlex.
Telaquitlex.
And then I hope we get more expansion on the anime planet. Ooh woo.
Oof.
No, God, please no anime planets. There was enough anime at the freaking Game Awards. We don't need any
Hmm.
more. Ugh.
No. We'll stick with our Land of the Dead.
Another.
But yeah, I think that was
actor,
that was it for this episode. Unless
Yeah, not a
anyone's
very
got any
long
other
one.
crazy theories, because this is a great way to wind up the year. Because now we've got the literal head of the Death's Head Coven.
Yes.
So
I wonder.
Isn't that awesome?
So Kiva is Kiva, but are all banshees the same? Do they all act like Kiva, or do they all have their own little personalities?
No, they
Or is
all
it because they're so in tuned to like the other side that they don't really have room for a person?
They would kind of all have their own personalities, but they all have very singular goals, like as what Kiva pointed out. So they all behave the same, although there would be some semblance of hierarchy to them. But it's more.
Kiva is clearly the leader. If we're talking
it's
about
more
hierarchy.
No, the hierarchy is just more of performance based rather than like, oh, this person, because you don't get to climb the ladder. You were created. Like banshees aren't like the vampires or the ghouls or anything. They weren't turned into. They were never alive. They were literally created by the god of the dead to be dead. They are the ones who speak on its behalf. So
yeah.
It's only like when I say performative, it's like Kiva is the head of the head coven because there has to be someone in charge, but they all do their own responsibilities of ushering the dead below, as it says,
Yeah.
They're prey, and they pray with them for as long as they need until they are ready to pass below. So they all perform the same actions.
Yes.
Unless someone goes rogue and then they have to pull out the needle and it all goes to pot.
So would they punish? Well, obviously they would. Never mind. It's like if they had Amrax in front of them, they would just give him the needle. I'm sure.
Right? No, I think they'd be more creative than that because if he got the needle, he'd just have some contingency.
That's true. I forgot he's a freaking lich. That's true.
He always has a contingency.
Oh man, he's such. Yeah, Amrax is a great character. Amrax is a great character. All the plotting and the scheming.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I think we're good to wrap it up there, guys.
I think so, yeah.
Because that was a great way to end the year. That was definitely great because that was one of my favorite episodes so far. Because how could you go on any more than that? It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
like especially the nod, just the nod
Yeah,
back.
that section alone is just great.
No word of a lie. First time I heard that, I got chills. Even reading it, I got chills, and I was like, this is going to be incredible, and I couldn't wait. And then when I heard Eileen's amazing performance, it was absolutely incredible, and I was very worried that it's like, it needs to be done right, but I had nothing to worry about because the team know exactly what they're doing, and George cast the right person who done the most amazing performance. Shout out to everyone. And then when I heard it, when I got to hear that being put together, and I got to hear the finished version, I was like, oh my God, chills. Like right back to the very first time I played that game back in the 90s. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, like my little fan heart just exploded. It was great. It's so cool. But yes, I have been Calypso, and I think that wraps it up for this episode of Deadhaus Whispers. You can follow us on all the socials down here.
So I put it down here so we don't need to keep doing the
exactly.
incessant shilling.
Yes. Follow us on all the socials. Follow Deadhaus everywhere. Blah blah blah. You guys get the picture. Obviously, yeah. See you guys next year.
See you next year.
If you want to see anything else, Mike, go ahead. I don't have anything.
No, they just shout us out on socials. Don't forget, check out Deadhaus. Join the Discord, and seriously, get jumping in there now because there's a lot of people that have been really active about a thing I won't mention here, but if you go to the Discord, you'll find out about Deadhaus the game, and also get jumping in on the lore because there's been a lot of cool discussions on it lately, and I want to see more of it because the more people join in, the discussions get crazier and crazier, and I love listening to everyone come back about all the different lore and stuff like that. It's like blood, everything you were hypothesizing about bloodstones, and a big discussion was about Gwyneth Arman. Who is she? Why is she? Where is she? All of this stuff, and it's fantastic. I want to see more of that. because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, we will be back with you guys in the new year. We will be discussing a new episode, and maybe we might have a new guest on to update us on the status of what way everything's going. Wouldn't that be really cool?
It would be. But we will see you guys next year and in the next one. So thanks for watching Deadhaus Whispers. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you. Much appreciation from us, yes, for listening to Deadhaus Whispers.
Ah, yes. Thank you for listening to Deadhaus Whispers with Faceless Mike and Calypso. They're lovely people. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll find you.
Hello, fellow fans of Deadhaus. Follow Deadhaus Whispers, or else.
From the creator of Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness, Deadhaus Sonata is a narrative-driven action RPG in which you take the role of the undead and fight against the living. Visit us at www.deadhaussonata.com for updates on development. That's Deadhaus Sonata.com.